Right, hello and welcome to another video on the Chubster 5 stone weight loss journey. So today I'm going to do from the Slimmer World Mediterranean Magic book. We're going to do the Daube beef, and I've served that with some horseradish mash and some green beans. I'd just like to point out that I'm in no way associated with Slimmer World itself. This is just my journey. I'm using some of their recipes. I use probably some pinch and non ones and stuff like that. So I'm not affiliated, I'm not sponsored by anything. It's just what I'm doing, just taking their recipes and just put them into videos so people can see what to do. So let's go and start cooking. Book. And I'm going to be doing the Beef Daube. It's sin free, serves 4, and it's very nice. I'm going to serve it with some mash and see what veggies I've got as well.
Alright, so here we go. We're going to start peeling our carrots. The recipe calls for 3 carrots roughly chopped. So just taking the tops off and just roughly chopping them. And we need 2 onions, again roughly chopped. So here we go. I always put a bowl on the side just to collect all my scraps, as I call them. So that's our 2 onions all chopped up now. Now the recipe calls for 2 turnips peeled and roughly chopped. Now I couldn't get any turnips, so I've got a Swede. It's a rather large Swede, so I'm just going to use half the Swede, peel it and roughly chop it. Do be careful when you're using a knife like this, because with a Swede it's quite hard and it's quite easy for your knife to slip off and cut your fingers, so always be very careful when using a knife. Make sure your knife is sharp as well. So now we're just going to crush some garlic. Calls for 2 cloves, but I just put just over 2. But we've got 2 here first of all. So I use the side of the knife just to bash it down. That just releases the skin a bit, and then you just peel it off quite easily, and then just roughly chop it. And we're going to add that to our veg mix. So here we got our beef. We got 700 grams of lean steak, and it's all been cut up and all visible fat removed as much as we can. And we've got our carrots, our onions, our Swede, and we're just putting a couple of tablespoons of
We've got a pan on a high heat, going to get that nice and hot. We've got our beef, we've got our fry light. I'm using the sunflower one today. So we can get the pan really hot. Spray plenty of fry light. I always say squirt till it hurts. So we get the pan in there, and then we're going to put our beef in. What we're going to do is just keep frying the beef until we've got it nice and brown. This is why you need the high heat. And I'm just going to spray a bit more flavour. see the beef is starting to get nice and brown, but we'll keep frying this until it's fully brown. Let's give it a bit of a shake. Just apply a little bit more fry line. Not that it needs it, but well, as you can see, there's a bit of liquid building up in there now. So what I tend to do is I'm going to just drain it off. Put the pan back on there just for a few minutes just to dry that out. Just a little bit more fry light. And then we'll bring the beef back into the pan. Just keep about a minute or two more. So, beef is all nice and browned. I'm going to turn the gas off. So we've got a casserole dish here. Just going to pour that all in there. All those bits as well, so it's all bits of flavour. So, we have our beef. So now we've got our carrots, our onions, our garlic, 2 teaspoons of mixed herbs, and our swede. So just going to put that in there. All those bits of veggies in there, all speed. And I'm just going to get a spoon, and I'm just going to mix that up a bit. So as you can see, plenty of veggies in this. So good amount of speed. Oh, try to escape. So I've got that mixed nicely. Now we've got our beef stock. I'm just going to pour it all over. And there you go. Then just the last thing, put the lid on. Right, so we can let that cook for 2 hours in the oven. Excuse the state of my oven, I need to get better to clean it. In the meantime, my wife has peeled some potatoes and cut them, and we'll put them in a pan in a bit and we'll start boiling them ready for mash.
So we've got our pan of water on the stove with our potatoes in, just adding a bit of salt to season the water, and we're going to turn that on to a full heat and bring these to the boil. In the meantime, I'm just going to prep some green beans. Just going to top and tail these, and we're going to just boil them off in some water, in some salted water. So our potatoes are all nice and soft now, so we just drained them off. I'm going to put them back into the pan, but I do put the heat on the pan just to dry them out a little bit. So as you can see, we've got the heat on, we're just moving them about with a spoon, breaking them up. And now we're going to start mashing. Gas is off, so we're going to start mashing it all up. Going to add a little bit of salt to season, and some ground black pepper, and I'm going to put some horseradish into the mash. It's only 2 teaspoons or just over. It equates to about 1 sin, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head. And 1 sin between 4 portions is a quarter of a sin each. So yeah, very low sinnage on that. So now I'm going to add half of my 250 mils of Semi Skimmed Milk, and again, so that's half of 250 mils, which is going to go between 4 people. So you know, you're using very little bit of milk there from your HEA. So I really work that in, make it nice and smooth. So our water's boiling. We're just going to quickly put our beans in. They won't take long, just a couple of minutes, and they'll be done. So we're taking the Daube out of the oven now. Now what I did find with this, the recipe calls for 600 mils of beef stock. This has been in the oven at the right temperature for 2 hours, but I did find that it was a little bit dry, so in future I will add a whole litre of beef stock. But it's still really nice and moist, and we're just going to plate it all up now. So we're going to start with a mash. And we're just going to add our Daube beef, or Beef Daube, however you want to say it. It's entirely up to you. I think my daughter's in the background doing something, not quite sure what she's doing there. And our green beans. You can add any veg to this if you wanted to. I just put green beans because that was what available in the fridge. And I'm just going to chop up a little bit of curly parsley. There's a little chefy thing to garnish it. So yeah, there you go. There we have our Daube beef with horseradish mash and green beans. Not bad, 1/4 cent per portion.
Computers now have primary control of